Send me to the worst maximum security prison in the state of Washington. I noticed the guy always looking at me. He appeared to be a white guy. He had a long mustache. Stands up and he's walking straight towards me. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And finally I just turned and the guy says, whoa, 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 no, assalamu alaikum. And I said, what? And he says, look, man, how about if I invite you to Juma? The imam started reciting the Quran. And so what I did was I went to the front row. I did this. And I saw muscle-bound men, huge men. But when they were in front of their creator, they became humble.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sahabat Muslim semua, hidayah Allah bisa didapatkan dimanapun manusia berada. Bahkan dari dalam penjara sekalipun, hati manusia bisa tersentuh hidayah Islam jika mendapati momen yang menurutnya luar biasa. Hal ini diceritakan oleh seorang mualaf yang bernama Maliki Klik. Bagaimana kisahnya? Nah, sahabat Muslim, mari kita saksikan video selengkapnya dan saya akan sedikit mereaksinya.
I got around these people and I was 19 years old. And one night we were doing things that we were not supposed to be doing. And one of my so-called friends said, I know a place that we can rob. So everybody get their pistols and let's go. I had a job. I had money in my account. I didn't need to steal, but there was something missing in my life. And so we did the robbery, and 24 hours later we were arrested. All I did was transport the computers, the jewelry, the money into the car. And so the lawyer came to me and said, you're looking at about 8 to 10 years. What are you talking about? Maximum security prison, 8 to 10 years? So the day that I got into Walla Walla, I was scared. So I carried on for months and months. I was asked if I wanted to go to church. I said no. Do you want a Bible? I said no. I found myself reading about other religions. I read about Judaism. I read about Hinduism for about 5 minutes. I read a book and I just said, this is no way. Fast forward, I would say 6, 7, 8 months. I'm walking the yard by myself, which is a very dangerous thing to do. I noticed the guy always looking at me. He appeared to be a white guy. He had a long mustache. He appeared to be white, but he was sitting with black people. He would always look at me, and I seriously thought that he had a problem with me. I seriously thought that we were gonna have problems. So one day, I'm walking around the track, and that same person stands up off of the tables in the yard, looking at me the whole time. He's got about 5 African-American people with him, behind him, and he's walking straight towards me. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This is how it happens. I'm gonna get jumped. They got a problem with me, so they went straight for me, all the way until they got about 10 yards from me. And finally, I just turned and I squared up because I knew it was going to happen. The guy says, whoa, 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 no, nothing like that. Assalamu alaikum. And I said, what? And he looked behind him and he finally, okay, this doesn't look good. I have people behind me, muscle-bound men behind me, and we're just charging one man. And he said, I'd just like to talk to you for a minute. And I said, well, as long as it's with you alone, yeah. And he said, my bad. That looks wrong, and we approached you wrong. We apologize. That's our bad. And so we walked the track together, and I learned that his name was Omar and that he was from Turkey. And he said, what do you know about Islam? And I had absolutely no clue what that word is. And I even told him, Islam, how do you say that in English? He said, Islam is a religion. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. He made dawah to me about what Islam was, and we talked and we talked and we talked. And finally, one day, he brought a book, and it was wrapped up in a towel. And he said, kind of sternly, he said, look, man, I'm going to give you a book, but you have to make sure that you keep it clean and you don't disrespect it. You don't put it on the ground, okay? Do I have your word? Because I'm going to give you a book. I said, sure, Omar, what's the book? And he uncovered it, and it was a blue Quran with gold writing. And he said, this is a gift from me to you. This is now your Quran. And I wrapped it up and I said, well, thank you, Omar. Thank you so much. I went back to my cell and I opened this book. And the first thing that I did is I went to the index and I looked for names. Moses, Jesus appeared, Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Jacob, all of these. And my first intuition was, oh God, it's just like the Bible. And if it's just like the Bible, it's not true. It's going to have these contradictions. Oh man, what Omar was saying was good. And now, I don't know. So I opened the Quran and I read the story. The first chapter that I opened up was Ar-Rahman. And I read it and the language, the delivery of the Quran was so unique to me. And I just thought, the way this book is worded is amazing. And so, the third day, I really got into the Quran. I was committed to reading it for hours. And so what happened was my cellmate said, hey man, aren't you going to dinner? I said, dinner? And I was looking up from my Quran. I said, dinner? And he said, yeah, you've been reading that book since breakfast. Are you going to eat or no? I said, yeah, I probably should. I closed the Quran and I went and I just thought, I'm really into this book. Why? Weeks passed, maybe even 2 or 3 months. Omar approaches me and he says, look, man, how about if I invite you to Juma? And I said, Omar, Juma, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, Juma, this is Sunday prayer. You know that? Okay, for the Muslims, it's on Friday. Do you want to come? And so I said, sure, I'm going to have to fly a kite, which is permission from the commanding officer, to participate in that. So I did. I rode a kite. I would like to attend Juma services. Not more than a couple hours after my request to go to Juma, the CEO wanted to see me personally. And I said, okay, what's this all about? So I entered the office of the CEO and he held up my request. Is this you? Did you make this request? I looked at it and I said, yeah, it sure is. You want to go to Juma with the blacks? I said, whether they're black, Hispanic, Asian, yes, I would like to see what they do. So he said, look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to go and be with these, and he called them N-words, if you want to go and be with these people, just know one thing. When they jump you and when they beat you up, we're not going to protect you. I'm not going to send my guards in there for you if you want to be with these N-words. And I just said, yeah, regardless, I want to go. He just signed it, said, your funeral, here you go to Juma. The first time that I heard the adhan, it hit me, it hit my heart. And I turned to Omar and I said, Omar, what is this beautiful song that this man is singing? And he said, not a song, it's the call to prayer. And so he basically translated what he said. And I was just like, so beautiful, so beautiful. He said, hey, let me show you about what we do. We're going to make wudu. So he taught me how to make wudu. And I made wudu as a Christian, just get the whole experience. And I sat down with Omar. And so we listened to the khutbah. And it came time for us to pray. And so Omar said, listen, sit over to the side. We're going to pray. You say that the imam stays in the front and he reads the Quran. Does he read from the book? I said, no, this imam has memorized the Quran, all of it. And I said, Omar, that book, like this thick that you gave me, he's memorized the whole thing? He said, yeah. And millions of people, Muslims, have memorized it from 7 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, women, men, everybody. And I just thought, whoa, these people have washed their hands, their elbows, their arms, their face, their feet before they worship God. We never did that. They began to pray. The imam started reciting the Quran. And I just thought, he's not only reading, he's reciting. These people have loved each other and called each other to prayer. The thing that impressed me the most, the thing that switched my heart, I got up from my place. So what I did was I went to the front row and I did this. I looked down the first row of the prayer. Is it real with these people? How do they look when they worship? And I saw muscle-bound men, huge men, but when they were in front of their creator, they became humble and all of that hardness was gone. Eyes were lowered in complete humility to their creator. And I stood there like this and looked at them and I said, whoa. When did Allah open my heart? It is when they made sujood. When they made sujood and I saw them, that was it. That was it. That was the moment where I said, these people are not normal. And I have never in my life seen worship of God until now, today. I said, Omar, I have to become a Muslim today. I don't know if there's any other white Muslims on the planet, but today you're gonna make an exception for me. I'm not leaving here except if you teach me how to be a Muslim. I will become a Muslim today. And he himself put his head down and began to cry, Omar. And he said, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Of course you can become a Muslim. And so on that day, Juma, 1991, I said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Called my father, like I always did in prison, and I told him that I had become a Muslim. And my father, remember, he's super Christian and super strict. He said, "You did what?"
Selesai. Semoga bermanfaat. Terima kasih telah menonton video sampai selesai. Mohon maaf jika ada terjemahan yang kurang tepat. Dukung channel ini dengan like, subscribe, dan share. Masya Allah, sebuah video dakwah yang sangat menarik dari seorang mualaf yang bernama Maliki Quick. Beliau menceritakan kisah mualafnya sangat detail di channel YouTube Towards Eternity, yang linknya akan kami sampaikan di deskripsi video. Kisahnya berawal dari dia yang berusia muda melakukan kejahatan kriminal dan mendapatkan ganjaran dimasukkan ke penjara. Penjara yang super ketat di negara bagian Washington. Beliau saat di penjara itu merasa diawasi oleh seorang pria kulit putih dan berkumis panjang. Pria tersebut mengikuti sampai dia pun berkata, "Oke, apapun yang terjadi akan kuhadapi," sambil mengepalkan tangannya untuk berduel dengan pria tersebut. Namun apa yang terjadi adalah sebaliknya. Tunggu. Aku bukan akan berkelahi denganmu," ujarnya. "Aku hanya ingin berbicara padamu. Apakah kamu mengetahui tentang Islam?" Aku jawab, "Aku tidak mengetahuinya." Bahkan aku menanyakan kepadanya bagaimana mengucapkan Islam dalam bahasa Inggris. Dia mengatakan bahwa Islam adalah sebuah agama. Saya sebenarnya tidak tahu. Sebenarnya pria itu adalah sedang berdakwah kepada saya tentang Islam. Akhirnya kami terus berbicara dan berbincang dengannya. Dan pada suatu hari ia membawa sebuah kitab, dan kitab itu terbungkus dengan baik. Dia berkata kepadaku, "Hai Bung, aku akan memberimu sebuah hadiah kitab yang harus memastikan bahwa kamu harus menjaganya dengan bersih, dan kamu juga jangan merendahkannya. Kamu jangan meletakkannya di lantai. Apakah kau sanggup memegang ucapanmu itu? Karena aku akan memberikan kitabnya itu kepadamu." Setelah aku menyetujuinya, akhirnya dia memberikan kitab itu. Dan aku buka, ternyata adalah Al-Quran biru dengan tulisan emas. Nah sahabat, mungkin itu saja video reaksi dari saya. Mudah-mudahan bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Wabillahi taufik walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.